Holistic by Shiana.
Hi, welcome to Who You Callin' Holistic. I am your host, Shiana Rivers. Welcome, everybody. I'm joined by a special guest today. This is not her first visit. So before we get into all this, because I know you guys have been waiting for her to come back, but I'm recording today at GOT Sound Studio. Shout out to Neek. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you check the show notes all the time because sometimes I don't remember to say shit on here, but I'm going to put it in the show notes because that's how my life is set up. And you know how I live my life. Without further ado, hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a minute.
It has. I listened to our episode today.
Did you?
I did.
Okay. For those who aren't familiar, Zakiya was on the Hoodoo, Root Work, and Jesus episode, which was it's still one of my most played episodes, which not surprising at all, especially in the South.
The title is?
I know, I do my best. But people want to know about those three topics together for sure. Mm-hmm. A lot has changed since then.
Oh, yeah.
This was March of 2021 when we recorded that, by the way, which was recorded on Zoom or something.
Yeah.
I think you were being that person with the smoke detector beeping in the background on that one.
I'm certain.
Yeah.
It's fixed now.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Good to hear. Growth. Mm-hmm. Growth. Now we're here.
I have more space. My capacity is different.
Yes. That makes all the difference in the world. So you're gay now?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
And is that where we're starting?
I
love that.
Go ahead and, rip the Band-Aid off.
Also, as I listened, didn't hear the smoke detector.
I did. It's a thing.
I didn't even hear it today.
I could hear it.
I believe you.
I don't know that I heard it in the actual episode.
Oh, when we were recording.
But when we were, it's all I could hear. I can't wear watches because all I can hear is the ticking. I can wear like an Apple Watch, but it's a thing. Anyway, back to the elephant.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I identify as demi.
Okay.
So I'm demisexual.
Okay.
And so
tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it definitely falls under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella. Demi means that I only experience like sexual attraction or romantic attraction when I have a deep connection with someone. And so really, for me more specifically, like we have to be able to be friends before I will ever even see that, like, oh, you're kind of cute. Like, oh, I might let you hold my hand, right? Mm-hmm. So I see people and I can tell, like, this person is attractive. But if I don't know you, it genuinely doesn't even cross my mind that we could do a thing, which makes it weird when people are hitting on me. I rarely pick up on it because I'm just like, oh, everybody's so nice. And
they have ulterior motives.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know you. But that you have to get to know people to, So gay-ish.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Queer lands more squarely for me, but more specifically, demi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for sharing it because you've been very, I don't want to say you haven't been that public with it. I mean, first sharing the info, which was a whole nother thing, but we know I'm very, very private about my shit.
You are.
Thank you. I need to be because you see these things change. These things change sometimes.
They do.
And for those who don't know, Zakiya and I went to college together, and I could have said I saw this happening at some point, but Zakiya said that she never saw this on her radar at all.
No. What is happening?
Yeah.
It was very jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah, the journey was, man, I was losing my mind.
Well, we go through that here and there.
For sure.
With all the journeys.
For sure. I feel like we talked about some of this. We touched on it. If people listen to the last episode, I was clearly still like processing and trying to figure out the language and.
Because you were just coming out of your divorce then. Okay.
Yeah, my divorce wasn't final yet. My divorce was final in July of 2021.
Okay.
So I'd already filed. So I was separated and had my own place with the kids. And I was going through a lot. It was a dark time when I did that episode. So even listening, I was like, there were times where I was like, I know what I'm talking about here. And like, so glad to not be there anymore. It was dark. But yeah, I was Yeah, I didn't see this coming. But here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you when you shared it with social media? Because you shared it this time last year-ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like June last year.
Yeah.
Look at you go. Okay, research. I was nervous about, I mean, again, grew up in the Black church, right? So lots of people
Cast her out.
yeah, on my timeline who I'm sure were like, say what? I also didn't post anything about my divorce or separation process, and all that was really intentional. So I popped up with a new partner who was a woman, and there were some people who didn't even know I was divorced or separated,
Right,
or anything.
I got questions too. Yeah.
But what I can say, and I think it says something about me. I'm not sure what. No one questioned me directly.
I love that for you.
One person questioned me directly, and I rerouted him in my DMs on Instagram, because it's like we don't even have that kind of relationship where you think you could ask me. I think he said, "So you're a lesbian now?" And I was like, we don't even know.
Right.
You get to like the real
Right.
or unfollow.
Right.
Like somebody else, maybe I can get, no, not for you. So people were surprised, but I was mostly met with support and likes and DMs telling that they were proud of me, which was warm. But I was nervous. I just wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know what people are going to say. And I know if people say the wrong thing, I'm going to clap.
Right. Because you got that Mercury in Sagittarius. You got that Mercury.
I do.
Yep. So, I feel it.
But it still hasn't happened. No one has come directly to me and said, I do not agree with this thing that you're doing. Or I think it's bad for your kids. Or all the things I was like, what could people say? No one has said it.
And I think we do that often anyway with whatever topic we want to share, whatever truth we want to talk about. We get in our heads of how it's going to be received. And then it's like, I don't want to talk about that at all. But then it's like, bitch, nobody's thinking about it like that.
And maybe they are. But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Everybody has too much shit going on.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And they don't have the nerve to say it to me.
Because it was shared a bunch, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because you can see, for those who aren't like familiar, when you post a reel, you can see that little arrow button. How many times that arrow button has been pressed?
54.
54 times.
54.
And then I go in my own mind about that because you can't tell who sent it, how many people it was sent to. Would you want to know?
Yes.
What, you would?
Yes.
See, I don't know that I would want to know
what they said when they sent it, who they sent. I want to know who sent it. What did they say? That I am curious about.
Okay.
I don't know that I would say any, like, if I could see that, I wouldn't say anything, but I don't like to be around people.
Whispering.
Yeah. Like, then I know how to move with you. That feels like information. That feels like, a tool. But, somebody somewhere is smart enough to know not to give me that one.
Right.
Because I want to say that I would just move different with them, but I'd probably say something.
I think you would say something about it.
I would probably say something.
So about that share that you sent to
so-and-so.
Pastor so-and-so the other day.
Yeah. Because, I did get unfollowed by some people that I used to go to church with. And I expected that. I don't even think it was the gayness. I think it was more like the ass. Like, we do a lot of posting of, like, each other at the beach or
body shame things.
Lots of
in the church.
It's a little too nude on my page. And that's okay. I respect that.
Well, you had that boudoir photography shoot. So that should have prompted them already.
Yeah,
go ahead and start the unfollows. Yeah.
But, she got a little more ass than me. So I think people, you know what I'm saying?
They were like, that's too much ass now.
Which is body
we were okay
shaming,
with that one.
Yeah.
Now that's too much.
It was like, wait a minute now. So, whatever, child. More room for whoever want to come and see.
I'm here for it.
It's been fun. We do post a lot. And that's a weird thing, too. You know how people are like, oh, you post so much. Like those conversations about how much or how little you share your partner. That is something I had to kind of rewire my brain around, because I had a different pattern with my, former husband, but I don't have to, like, stay in that same. This is a totally different relationship. Like, the culture is night and day. And so I just get to do what feels right for me, right? And I did what felt right for me then.
Right.
So I'm just going to post what I want to post.
Right. Here for it.
Yeah.
I am still going to take the Issa Rae route.
Okay.
She did not post her husband until I think after they met. And if you look at her page, he's still not on there.
Yeah, I can point him out in the lineup if you
Nope.
if you beg. If you
Dolly
paid.
Parton?
Don't know him.
We don't
She
know.
married?
She is.
Oh.
She has a whole husband.
Love that for her.
She's also a Capricorn.
Listen, do you? I really don't put a lot of stock in that.
Mm-hmm.
When my little cousins or my homegirls are in a thing about their person posting them or not, to me, it's like, if you want them to, I think they should.
Right.
But
Agreed.
if your person doesn't care, then y'all don't gotta do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y'all don't have to do that.
I'm going to be on the trips.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be in places. I'm going to have my little drinky drink in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be like, oh, she's at a nice spot.
What if they want to be posted? Then they're not for you.
Married.
Fair.
You know?
Yeah.
Because even that, is...
Yeah.
But at least it's like, hey, we went all the way. You know, we did try.
Yeah. There are still pictures of my kid's dad on my page.
Yeah. Well, and also y'all got kids together.
Kids.
Yeah. So it's a whole nother, it's a whole nother realm there.
Yeah. The ones that's just like me and him, I did take those down. But if the children are in it,
yeah, way different.
Yeah.
Way different.
I also don't like throw away a bunch of, like, you know how you break up with somebody and you get rid of everything they ever gave you?
I don't do that.
I don't do that.
I don't do that.
There are people that do that, or like delete all their pictures or all of their. This is my life.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping
like
the
an
jewelry and
archive.
everything because
I'm keeping pictures.
Yeah.
I'm keeping sentimental gifts. I don't throw my stuff away.
okay,
I
yeah,
don't delete pictures. I just don't.
okay,
To me, it's like an archive.
yeah. And it really depends, like you said, like how things were handled at the end too, because I could see if it got real icky. Abuse-wise and stuff, then I could be, throw all that shit away. I don't want any, I could see that being a thing. Yes,
for sure.
Like cut all ties, take it away. I don't want it.
I take the stuff out of my kitchen. It's like if you gave me something and it was in my kitchen, it's gone. I don't know what that's really about.
The kitchen is the heart of the house.
It's gone.
In feng shui stuff,
Yeah.
kitchen is the heart of the
There
home.
you have it, folks. I can't do it.
That's
But
why you got to clean your oven. If you're like if you're attracting more love, make sure your oven's clean. Feng
I
shui
didn't know
things.
that. Never heard that.
Today years old. So also when you were last on, you were Love Petals and Prayersing then, but you were also doing your nonprofit living, and that has shifted a bit now. Your nonprofit lifestyle, and now you're also a lobbyist. Yes. Was this in the cards?
No.
Okay.
Politics?
Right.
No.
I didn't see that. Well, no, that's a lie. I could see it.
Okay. It's not crazy.
It's like politics adjacent almost.
It is.
Okay. No, it is.
I mean, I
but-
spend most of my time in the State House talking to politicians. I am not a politician, so that helps. But
Wait,
yeah.
what
Okay.
what is a politician in comparison?
Like I'm not an elected official.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not responsible for representing the interests of a constituency.
Okay.
Like, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
I also said I don't want to lobby, so I don't say stuff like that no more because it feels like a challenge to somebody somewhere. So I'm just like, I'm gonna be quiet because I don't want to keep taunting people. Whoever is like, yeah, you're gonna do it. My grandmother and my mother told me I would work in politics, and I was like, y'all are crazy. And sort of as an act of protest in my activism and advocacy, I never stepped foot in the State House ever until this January when I was going to work. So yeah, they be knowing. Yeah, some of us be knowing.
We do.
Yeah, some of
Because
us
I
do.
even did a human design reading for you around, I don't even know what year that was.
I don't remember.
Around COVID times, around this dark time in your
Definitely
life.
COVID times.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I came to you with was, like this thing says you're a fighter. And you immediately were like,
No, I do not want to fight.
and I was like, but it says here what you're here to do. And you were like, I'm not having that. I rebuke it. Take it away. Take it back. And look at us. Look at us.
Look at us go.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, and I feel like I never want to fight. I will fight. I do fight, but I don't want to. Like, I do. I want people to show up in spaces in ways that are true to them. I'm going to show up in a way that's true to me. And if what you're doing starts to impede on, me doing what I'm trying to do, or somebody else who is like marginalized or doesn't have as much of a voice or whatever it is, then now I got to fight. Mm-hmm. And it's never a thing where it's like, I think people see the way I move through the world, especially in my like social justice work. It's like, you be on go, you're ready. Because I am willing to stand up and say the thing. I was on a call today with somebody very higher up at a utility company in the state, and he said something that was stupid, and I let him finish, and then I was like, well, here's why that won't land for the people that I'm here representing. And I really said it that gently, and explained to him why what he said was elitist and privileged. Like, you are coming from a very different place from people who can't pay their light bills. Mm-hmm. And he was very apologetic, and I was like, well, dang, he think I'm trying to fight him, and like, I don't even need an apology.
Right.
You didn't offend me. I just need to know exactly where you got me fucked up.
Right.
And them. And to me, that doesn't, like, that's not, but I get how that could feel confrontational. Mm-hmm. And so that's not something that, to me, feels confrontational or combative. I'm just telling you, I heard what you said, and I don't think you are considering all angles. Mm-hmm. Here's the one that I need you to think about.
And I say to people all the time, a conversation doesn't equal confrontation.
Never.
Like, we can have a difference
sometimes.
but
sometimes.
Not always. Yes.
Yeah.
But like, we can have a difference of opinions and have a conversation about it.
We can.
And still remain civil.
We can. You should be able to. And I think that's my thing when I'm like, I don't want to fight. Now, if you don't want to hear what I'm trying to say, then we might end up fighting. Right. But like, I really came here to talk.
Right.
I've never been in a physical fight in my life.
You tried to be in one for me in college. I appreciate it.
And you needed support. Like I said, if we get pushed, we will fight.
Fair.
But I didn't go there to fight.
No.
I was responding.
You were.
That's all I be trying to tell people, man. Like, I am never showing up to a place like, it is always a response. Mm-hmm. And I don't really even know where that comes from. That feels like, I had 5 SAG placements.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah. At first I was like, is that like, was I taught that? And then I was like, no.
Fire.
Me.
Fire. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, I really try to surround myself with people that like understand me and are like-minded.
And don't put you in scenarios where you're going to have to fight.
Yes. Yes. Please. And when I see something coming that's like, this could, you know what I'm saying? You've been present at times where I'm like, if we let this keep going, somebody might fight. Mm-hmm. And then I might have to get involved. And so I really try to use my words. I'm a very effective communicator.
You are.
Yeah, I like to be clear.
You are.
And so I'm like, I can see what's happening here and where there's a miscommunication or where there has been offense or where whatever it is. And I really try to use my tools to help people get on the same page. Now, if somebody wants those, put their hands on somebody, now we got to fight.
That's fair, though.
Yeah.
The gentleman you were on the phone with today, now was this the same gentleman, because you've told me some stories about your lobbyist life. Mm-hmm. Was this the same gentleman that you told me a story about before?
Mm-mm. There are lots of gentlemen that have this.
I'm sure. So you deal a lot with energy renewal in South Carolina?
Energy justice.
Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting space to navigate. Huh?
It is. So we are a coalition, the Energy Justice Coalition. And so basically we believe that all South Carolinians have a right to clean, affordable, renewable, and accessible energy, right? And so our state is last in the country for energy efficiency. So we save energy the worst out of everyone else in the country. And we have the 4th highest energy bills in the nation. So it's my job to make sure that legislators understand how the decisions they make on behalf of South Carolinians, but also sometimes use my words wisely. When the utilities come to them with ideas, we try to make sure they understand, hey, here's how this idea is going to impact poor people, people who live in rural communities, mostly Black people, brown people, gay people, all of these, identities that will have you living in the margins of society, more marginalized folks. This is how this is going to impact them. And the truth is, energy, lights, utility, that's a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are constantly having to remind them they're doing things to try to make more money. They are really not trying to help us or the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that's sometimes it's a hard sell.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative right now is that we're in an energy crisis as a state, that if more companies come to our state to do business here, our grid won't be able to sustain it. Like, we can't put more stress on the grid. And there are companies who want to do business here, but we can't let them come until we have more energy on the grid. So the utilities are like, oh, let's build a dirty gas plant out here in Kennedy, South Carolina. You ever heard of Kennedy?
I have not.
Have you heard of Walterboro?
That's where my grandparents are from.
Which grandparents?
The black ones.
The black ones.
Yeah.
The black ones.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's my job, is to say, hey, if they put this dirty gas plant, because they like to say natural gas, it's methane gas, it's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to poison the water, the air, the land, and the people. This plant would be going at a retired coal plant. So it's only just recovering from the toxicity from the coal.
Right.
And
the land hasn't even repaired yet.
No, about 10 years ago.
Right.
It takes about, I don't want to say the wrong year, but longer than 10.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't want to give the wrong number, but longer than 10 to recover. And it's old black people in churches around there.
Yeah, and an IGA probably.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually just like one IGA in those
IGA.
locations. I don't know that I've been to. If I've been to one, it's probably when I was in Walterboro.
I grew up in Elgin. It's all we had for a while. We got a food line now.
Okay. Ooh, flip hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's my job to make sure they know if they do something like that, here's what you're actually doing. And also, we could bring solar and wind and batteries.
Is this why Spectrum keeps having outages all the time? And here I was thinking the grid was just going to go down because conspiracy theory things of mine, but it's just because we're doing too much in South Carolina?
I don't know if Spectrum, if broadband, I don't know if those things are crossing each other. I don't know. Could be. It makes sense. But I mean, I'm with the conspiracy theories. I think there are lots of reasons. I do not think that our grid doesn't have the capacity. I think we need to save more energy. We're last in the country. If we did a better job at saving energy, we would have enough.
Right. It's how it works across the board.
What if we were 10th? What we were at the bottom?
What does that look like?
Number 10 from the bottom. We got to be last.
It's South Carolina.
Yes.
That's a goal of ours a lot of times, or something, it seems. But you had told me a story around the use of solar panels in this space. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was like, was this the same gentleman?
Mm-mm. His narrative is that, we should.
You got to set the scene, though.
Yeah,
people we need the visual.
So we're in the State House. We are in front of a committee of senators. I think maybe some folks from the House. I don't remember. It's when I first started, and they were trying to get this bill done to get this plant to come to Kennedy's, and really pushing. This guy is from another one of the big utilities. Really pushing this narrative that we don't have enough and it's going to crash. And if we rely on solar, he also is very caricature-ish, boots and I love boots, you know what I mean? But it was theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was theater.
Very over the top.
Extremely over the top. The accent, and I have an accent, so I'm really not trying to drag nobody. I was impressed. Okay,
the level of dedication
let's call a
here.
thing. I was like, he knows what he's doing, and I'm gonna learn.
That sounds like some shit Shiana says.
Yeah. Everything he's saying is a lie. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to be interesting enough to get these people's attention because they ate up everything he said, no matter how little sense it made.
Mm-hmm.
And so he talked about how, if it's raining or at night, you're not getting any energy from the solar panels. What happens when the sun doesn't come up? And it's like, well, bro, it's not quite that. Hold on. He was like, this is life or death. People are dying. But I was like, solar panels? I mean, people are dying because they can't pay their light bills. And so in the wintertime, they don't have heat. And in the summer, they don't have air. Or if you rely on any kind of machines for oxygen and things like that, if your lights go out, my grandmother was one of those people.
Right.
So she was on a list. When the lights would go out, we had to call Dominion Energy and they would rush over and get, her stuff back on first.
Mm-hmm.
But also, my family is very like we're super resourceful, so we know about things like that. What about people who don't have that type of reach or range or capacity,
Right.
mentally, intellectually, or even just like financially, right? So my grandma was never gonna be without her oxygen,
Right.
but that's not everybody's story, And so I don't want to make light of what he was doing up there because it's really terrible, but it also was a lesson for me. It really sort of sowed a seed that like this is theater, this is real. It affects people's lives, but there's an element of this that I'm gonna have to like lean into the pretend and do it my way. A lot of people in the lobby are very buttoned up. They're very, I mean, when you talk about being politically correct, like you're in the state house,
Right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't really get much more politically correct than that. And he really just gave me permission to just be who I was. He walked in here in cowboy boots and a like a whatever gallon hat they call it. I was like, oh, okay. So I'll be back in my Jordans. And I returned on my Jordan.
Here for it.
And next session I will be wearing my grill.
Here for it.
Yeah.
I am here for it.
Yeah.
You gonna have a hat on too?
I don't think I'm gonna do the hat.
Okay. All right.
I do keep a fresh, fresh part or
Maybe some big hoops.
I have done the hoops.
Okay.
I've done earrings.
The hoops and the Jordans combo?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Look
And
at
even
you.
when I do my Jordans, I still put on like a little business cash. So it does a thing. It's specific. And it's a conversation starter. People come to me and ask me about my shoes all the time. People who probably wouldn't have spoken to me in the lobby if I was dressed like everybody else in the lobby. And the important thing about that for me, outside of energy justice, right? Like, and what I'm doing, I think the state house is where the business of the state happens. And if everybody in there looks the same, if everybody in there acts the same and talks the same, then they only taking care of their business. Like, I am there to make room for other people to bring their whole self into that space, because the purpose of the space is for legislators to make decisions that impact and consider everyone.
Right.
But if we all come in here and look the same and talk the same and go to the same places, there's never going to be room for these marginalized people who I'm talking about, trying to make space for and impact for. And my approach to the work, I believe that people most proximate to the issues have the solutions. And so I do my best to make room for who I look to represent to speak for themselves. And one way I can do that is to dress how I dress, because there are other people that dress like me that would never think they would be in the lobby, because I never thought I would be in the lobby. Like, I never planned to be there. I never really wanted to be there. But now that I'm there, I actually like it. I enjoy it, and I'm good at it. People trust me, and I think people trust me because I really say what I'm thinking. And that's rare.
Because it's theatrical, as you said.
It is.
I cannot remember the name of the show. There's a show, it was on HBO at some point. It was a whole myth-busting show. And one of the things he shared was like some of the theatrics of things that are around for like theatrical purposes, like when you sign your signature on your credit card receipt thing. What do you sign that for?
Oh, girl, I put all kinds of things there.
But like in your head, you usually have like this visual, like, oh, if somebody steals my credit card, they're gonna like put them side by side. It's pretend. It's pretend safety.
So many things.
It's pretend safety.
Yes.
And then like TSA is a whole nother story. It's like pretend safety. So it puts on this display that, oh, we're safe. We have people checking for, no, it's not, it's pretend.
Being in the lobby is so bad for my brain sometimes,
I
because I'm
bet.
like, oh no, y'all can't be for real. This is not really how we're going to handle this. Like the bill that I worked on this last session was huge. One of the biggest bills that would come through the lobby, I think they said in like decades. It's just going to impact so many people. And it's $1 billion some dollar bill. And I mean, the tactics that people were using, like tacking our bill onto other really important bills as an amendment, our whole 80-page bill onto a suicide prevention bill. Because it's like, well, y'all won't not pass a suicide prevention bill.
Right.
Yeah, we can't. If you add a gas plant to the end of it,
Right.
that has nothing to. Are y'all for real?
Well, that's what they did with the whole TikTok ban stuff. It's the same, like.
But that just feels a little less.
Well, yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah.
But
It's
I was
like we
just
see
like-
how I see how they're moving. Like I see how they're trying to get through
Yeah.
the loops here. Like y'all ain't slick anymore. We see it.
I see it in a way now that's like, okay, so the state. So if the state, the country. So if the country, the planet. Okay, so all of this is a joke. Some days it feels like that. Like it's not being taken seriously, which sometimes it scares me, but other times it emboldens me. Because it makes me realize, like, I can actually tell you what's really happening because so many of our legislators are doing their best to keep up with what's happening, but they can't. If there are thousands of bills coming across this, their desk, literally thousands every session, and mine was 80 pages. They read them all?
Right.
No.
Right.
There was a legislator in the news earlier this year for saying in a conference hearing, I was in the room with maybe 100 other people. There was a camera. I couldn't believe he said it. He was like, y'all in here acting like y'all read these bills. Y'all don't read these bills. I was like, are we going to say it? Oh, no. It's wild stuff like that makes me realize, like, I really get to not question. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't have to go in here and be shy or even question what I'm saying, or if they know something I don't know. Chances are they don't. If they do, okay, then we get to have, an exchange. But most days, I'm doing the educating. I'm telling them this is what's going on. This is why you should care, and not like my colleagues. And I don't do it like a lot of them do. And it took me several months to realize I cannot do this like anyone that was sent here to mentor or teach me. And
because it wasn't working. Yep.
And they don't have the same interests as me.
Yep.
We don't have the same priorities. And so we're not going to work the same.
Yep.
And it's likely going to get me further if I just do it my way from the beginning.
It will always get you further if you do it your way from the beginning.
Like, I just had to really trust. Because at first I was like, am I wilding in here? Because I'm not doing this like they're kind of like, I'm just not timid about it. And there are some folks in our space that are a little timid. And it's like, that's fine. Maybe you already have these relationships. These people, the ones that know me, I already got those. But the ones that don't, they got to know me. So that I can call them and say, vote for this or don't vote for this. Or here's why we need you to whatever. But it's been fruitful. It's been good. Did I blow past your question about the nonprofit?
I don't know. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
I think I did. Yeah,
There was a lot to unpack with a lot of things. We went from gay to lobby. So
I don't even really think I settled into the gay.
you didn't. You didn't. It's been several years, so it's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
We can go back to the nonprofit in a second. I was gonna say, at least here, you don't have to do what they do in England, and be in the courthouse with everybody wearing wigs while the show is, or while the theater is. Yeah, you have it. Yes, that's it. I don't think it's like in all courts, but yeah, you can like put on a. I almost said put on a program. You could put on. You could put on the telly and see those things in action still now. Like they have those. Right, they have those ridiculous wigs on. So imagine if everybody in the state house had to wear those while you're, showing up.
Wild.
So
I mean, just some of the stuff that somebody on the last week of session wore a tin hat in the well, which is basically, the well is like you're on the floor of the House of Representatives on the microphone, and he was like mocking another group. He literally had on a tinfoil hat, and the guy's like banging for order. Order. The house. Let me tell you something.
it's jumping.
The House is the party.
Okay.
The Senate has a little more, like they're a little bit more buttoned up, and you can literally feel energetically going from one to the other. It's like you cannot play around over here. Over here, just about anything
goes. Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun to watch. I would invite anyone to come. I would love to show you around.
Invite me to one of the things one day.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I mean, I really do. I think, especially, me, when I see Black folks in the lobby, I go straight to them, even if they're not there for me, just to make sure they know where to go, to make sure if they want to speak to somebody, I'll go get them. Because it can be a very intimidating space. And I don't, it's not lost on me that even getting into the state house, you're walking past monuments of slave owners and people who have like really been terrible to Black people. And a lot of that is still up on the walls of the lobby.
Yeah.
And it's just not accessible. Even sometimes like mentally. Like there are just some blocks there. I had never been. I've been to the White House and on Capitol Hill lobbying. I've never been in the State House.
I went because my cousin and aunt from England were here visiting. So we went.
They're like, I want to see.
Yeah. Sure. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's free. Like, yeah, sure.
Let's walk around.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the only time.
It's pretty.
It is. Yeah. I can check it off my to-do list. Yep.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that people know. Somebody said to me last year, like, it's the people's house and you should be here. And I was like, this is not my people's house. But it is. You know, it's something that I've learned as I've been there. I'm like, we do get to take up space here. And just in my youth, still young, but as a younger activist, I was like, I will never go in there. And I'll be there 3 days a week.
Okay, so back to your nonprofit life. So that has shifted for you now. And I don't remember when you announced that. It's been within the last 6-ish months? Okay, yeah. You stepped down as the director of Sowing Seeds. Okay, what does that look like moving forward? Because I remember when I spoke to you with all my ideas, I was like, I think I want a nonprofit. And you were like, So I already knew like it was a headache or it was a lot of back and forth, all the above. So I figured it was just too much at some point.
Yeah. So I believe that nonprofits have to be started out of necessity, not desire. So you can start a business if you want. But if you start a nonprofit, it's because somebody is hungry or homeless or sick or, you know, and so you aren't off because you are looking to help people heal and you want to do that in a charitable way. It's beautiful. There are just less barriers to success in the for-profit route. That's just the facts. For me, fundraising became a burden. And where I was in my life, being separated, newly divorced, I just didn't want to carry that anymore. And I realized that my presence in this space could have been blocking the growth of the space. Like, the Seeds is not about me. Never was.
Right.
And do you know who founded the Girl Scouts of America?
I do not.
What about the American Red Cross?
I do not.
That is my goal.
Okay.
For Seeds to stand flat-footed without me. It don't have nothing to do with me, right? Like, for it to be its own thing. And so what it looks like today is I'll always be the founder. I'm here looking to, like, re-engage my board, to reinvigorate my board. Going to be adding some new people. People are going to be falling off. And our hope is that we'll hire a development director, somebody who wants to fundraise, who...
Your what is?
Our intention.
Thank you.
Is to
you better remember you're on a microphone manifesting these things.
We are going to hire a development director.
Okay.
Period. And they'll come in and bring in the money, right? Which will give us the opportunity to hire staff. And I can't say that we would relaunch the same programs.
Right.
You know, I don't know if... 2019 was the last time we did these things. It's a different world.
Yeah.
I don't know if it can look just like that again.
You know it can't look just like that again.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot we can do, but I don't have to have all those answers. It was really hard. It was a very, like, I was grieving like somebody died. I did not want to do it. I didn't want to step down.
Because it's your creation.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came from my brain.
Yeah.
And my heart.
Yeah.
And I'll always be tied to it. My hope is that we can add a C4, which is just like, you know, you have a 501c3, that's a nonprofit. A C4 gives you the capability to do some lobbying. And so then I could contract with Seeds to do some lobbying around some juvenile justice issues. I would really love to do that. So that
makes sense.
Yeah. It feels like flow.
Yeah.
Right? But I wouldn't have, this was last October, I wouldn't have been able to have that thought if I hadn't been able to say, I'm going to step away from this. And see
if you didn't make space.
I had to release. I had to purge some things, right? But it was hard. It's still hard. I posted on my Facebook today. I saw like a memory from, I think the last time we did the camp. And I was just like, I miss this so much. I do. But I'm really proud of it. And it was a lesson for me in learning that it's okay for things to end. That's been a theme in my life. Like, and that,
relatable.
Yeah, and that endings don't mean failure.
Right.
I feel the same way about my marriage. I don't feel like I had a failed marriage. It just ended. And I don't feel like I failed at being an ED at Seeds. I was the ED for 10 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. I didn't fail. It ended.
Because people don't even have careers that long in certain things.
No.
So.
Millennials?
No, absolutely the fuck not. No. The boomers, yes.
My parents.
Yeah, but like millennials and those behind us, now, what is the thing now? Like 2 years? You got to quit your job after 2 years and get a pay increase and then quit the yeah, so.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That feels like a lot.
It does. I like just charging my rate and saying this is the price.
Which has been really good. I mean, this work as a lobbyist, one of my non-negotiables, I want to be contracted. I do not want to be anybody's staff. I haven't done that, like I said, in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I was clear about that from the beginning. Like, this is contract, right? This is contract. And it's made room for me to reimagine, like, my work, my engagement with work. And it's even different from working for myself. I'm still working for myself, but sort of adjacent.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I do have deliverables that somebody going to talk to me about.
Yep.
But
I'm still the one that's making the decisions here. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really tell me where to be.
Or what to, don't tell me how to do what I'm doing. And just sign off on it.
Yeah. And my director is a friend. And she's brilliant. And she supports me. And it, like, sort of almost elevates me in a way that I'm like
right.
Not all, I don't need all of that gas. She's like, I'm not lying, and I'm going to tell everybody that will listen.
Yeah,
how great
take
you
that
are.
gas.
Yeah, I do, but I just sometimes just, you know that, though. I don't need all that. But shout out to Shane. She's great.
Yeah, I was, on the contract note, somebody had asked me recently if I could work in their space, and I was like, not anymore. Like, I like the pop-ups. I like to be able to be in and out when I want to be, or like, oh, I'm over here this day, or catch me over here. But like the clocking in for, I can't do it.
Don't expect me.
I can't
unless
do it.
I say I'm coming.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I had a little thing earlier this year with a colleague that was like doing these emails. I was like, yeah, Zakiya, if you could be here on this day. Well, no, that's not what he said. He said, Zakiya will be here. And I had to respond and be like, hey, do me a favor. Check in with me about where I'll be, and I can tell you if I'll be there or not, and then you can tell everybody else if I'll be there or not. And he was like, oh my God, so sorry. No worries. Again, because I didn't come here to fight. But people are not used to that. People are not used to like being boundaries.
And being straightforward.
Yeah.
Like these are my deliverables.
That's it. Yeah. Don't tell people where I'm gonna be unless I told you I was gonna be there.
And
also, don't tell people where I'm gonna be.
Right, that too.
I can do that.
That part. And I can say we have that in common. And I want to say, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the Mercury and Sag thing because we had a discussion. Was that 2 years ago? I don't know what time is anymore.
That was also 2020. That was 2020 because it was
so much has happened.
I only remember because of the program. It was like the last big. I was at that program. And so after that, like they almost didn't go back to school.
Right.
That same week.
Gotcha. Okay. So this came up recently in convo with us because I had that Black History Month reel when it actually had told you, did I tell you that it went viral randomly on it? Okay. It went viral randomly on a biracial page. I was like, why didn't I think that was my audience to talk to?
I don't know.
I never thought about didn't cross my, anyway, so.
It tracks.
It tracks, duh. Like, Shiana, why didn't you? Anyway.
I don't know that I would have, I'm not going to drag you there, because I don't know that I would have been like, oh, there is a biracial audience.
No, same.
Yeah.
Same.
So,
and like what I'm discovering more and more with the work that I do, how I'm speaking, the audience I'm talking to, is a lot of the things I share are for universal. So it's never been like, let me just speak to the biracial. No, it's not been my train of thought. Anyway, But we had a discussion because you were very upfront about how I said something, and we needed to have a talk about it.
We did.
And we had to talk about it. But I didn't even realize it was,
Yeah.
And
that was a time that I wasn't as upfront. You were upfront.
Okay.
Yeah. You felt a shift in our communication, and you said, hey, are we in a fight? And I said, we're not in a fight, but I think we need to have a conversation. But Mercury is in retrograde.
Yep.
And what I didn't say was my life was falling apart.
Yep.
And
It's
I
not
didn't
the
have
time.
it.
Yep.
I didn't have the capacity.
Yep.
That's so funny because I think then I probably didn't say that, but in hindsight, I'm like, I didn't have it. But, once the planet stopped, playing pool, we made time and space to have the fullness of the conversation. And I think that's one of the things that I think is unique about our relationship. Like, I don't really have run-ins with, like, friends. And I don't feel like we have run-ins, but I feel like there are times where we've had to be like, let's talk this out. Like, we don't really see this the same.
Right.
And I mean, down to you not having an audience. And I have an audience.
Right.
When I'm talking and doing work, I am talking to Black people.
Right.
If somebody else listens, that's great.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I say, this is for Black people.
Right.
Or this is for Black women. Or it's for Black people anyway.
Right.
And I've had to start, like expanding that to people of color as I do my work and my research. Like, if I realize, if we talk about numbers and the impact is also about people of color, then I say it. If it's not, I'm not saying it. And that's okay. Somebody else can do that work. I don't have to do everything.
Right. You don't.
I don't have to do everything.
And somebody else had told me that there's somebody with a podcast who it's only Black women. Like, she only invites Black guests, Black female guests specifically on her podcast. But I remember even thinking, like, there were certain people that were interacting with my work. And you see what I talk about, like woo-woo things. It's here, astrology. There's like all the things. And then I realized, like, I was engaging with a lot of people who are Muslim too. So I was like, wait a minute, like, it's not just this audience. It's not just, So I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm talking to everybody at this point.
Fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine. That was we had a good talk that day, but I feel like it gave me an opportunity to teach a friend, and that's all I'm really ever trying. Like, that's not my come from. I'm not trying to drag anybody.
No.
Now, if somebody come in dragging, I'm gonna drag you back out first.
Right.
Sure. That's what I be saying. I'm not trying to fight, but if you come
Right.
in swinging, I'm gonna swing. But I think, culture is I don't want to say a trigger for me, but it's really important to me. And the distinctions. And some people do this thing where they're like, well, I don't see color. And everybody is like, that's really harmful. That's really, to me, sometimes like violent because there are differences in experience and in perspective.
And I had to have that conversation with my mom, though, over COVID times, because I've heard that all my life, too. And I was like, you don't, but everybody else does.
Yeah.
So, like.
And it's a reason that you don't. You only hear white people really saying that.
Yeah, there's that.
It's like you're not experiencing the heat of not being white. So what reason is there for you to see color?
Well, and we had a convo. Me and my mom had a convo. We were in R&B at some point.
Oh yeah,
right,
man.
And they like ignored me, and they were, and she's British and blonde, and they were like, oh, yeah, who? Let me help this.
Adore and very cute.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
You're cute too.
Thank you. Thanks. But
that sounds like some shit Shiana says.
Shout out Pat.
Yeah.
But yeah, and when we left the store, I was like, did you see it? They ignored. She was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't. Yeah, you missed that whole
privilege.
Yeah. So
it's privilege, and that's. I think that's why people think that I am a fighter because I call out things like that, like, "Hey, we're not doing that.
Right?
We're not doing that. It's a no." I mean, this might be a good segue. I have made a decision when the moon circles come back, and we're going to talk about that, for them to be for Black women. And it was a tough decision for me, but it's what I clearly heard and felt led to do. And I know why I'm doing it. And we can get into that. We start talking about the petals and prayers.
What else was I about to say? It's gone.
Do you need to look at the time?
Nope. Nope, not at all. I guess we can segue into it then already.
Yeah.
Because Love, Petals, and Prayers, you paused on it for a while.
I did.
And I remember it was that and even your writing adventures. And I nudged you and I was like, hey, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
And then even more recently, I guess it was this year, people were coming to me about things, and I can tell them the energy things. I can help them with the things, but I was like, I think you need a spiritual bath, and like I think Zakiya needs to do it. And then I was like, hey, are you doing those yet again?
Yeah.
And you were like, not yet. It's maybe I'll let you know. And I was like, okay. All right.
Sorry.
Let me know.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't that long after.
Mm-hmm.
We're back now.
We're back.
Okay.
We're back. I was doing workshops. Like if someone said, hey, can you come do this workshop at my conference? Sure. One off. Bring my stuff. We do the thing. And I get to go home and not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it was 2020 through 2022 were really probably the most like the darkest years of my life. And they were I had already come through sort of like my who am I and what do I want and what do I need journey. But I mean, divorce and separation can just it's hard. Even when it's the right thing, it's hard. And maybe especially when it's the right thing, you know? And so that has smoothed out a lot for me, and I'm really grateful for that. And for him too. Grateful for that too. But it was hard. And I did not feel centered enough to be praying for nobody.
Y'all need to pray for me right now.
I was like, pray for who?
Yeah.
You know? And I wasn't really practicing for myself. And I still don't in the way that I did when we first talked. And I think that felt hypocritical. Like, and if it is a spiritual gift, and I'm like, how can I sell you something that I'm not using for myself? How can I say I'm gonna come in here and pray over these herbs for people when I don't even have the energy to do it for myself? It just felt fraud, like a fraud, like a little fraudulent and misaligned. So I stopped. I am not as critical of myself for not practicing as often as I used to anymore, because that was for a certain time and space. Same thing I did with myself when I was in church, child. I used to get up every morning and have like this devotion time, like an hour, and read. And then I came to a place where I was like, I just didn't need to do that anymore. I was still engaging the Bible, but I didn't need to be reading it for an hour every morning.
No. And I was going to say, like, the way our practices shift, I mean, that's expected because, yes, like for me, I could sit down for 40 minutes and meditate. And maybe one day I want to do that, but like COVID was wild times. Of course I had 40 minutes to meditate. So like, what else was I doing?
I don't know. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In hindsight, I'm like, why was I so hard on myself about that?
Because
I was really like, you are so fake if you sell this.
Yeah, no. Because what do they say about don't get high on your own supply situation? Yeah. Because it's the same. And I remember doing like an ebook, and I've shared this before. A lot of times your clients are just 2 steps behind you. Your ideal clients are 2 steps behind you. So, you know, when we feel a certain way about that kind of thing, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified to, and it's like, you are qualified because somebody 2 steps behind you needs that puzzle piece.
Right now.
Yes.
Yeah, right now.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. So
okay,
then
I'm going to chew on that a little bit more. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we all have our gifts. We all have these things that people need from one another, and we help put the puzzle pieces together, obviously.
Right.
But it's one of those things, like, if you're not giving it, if it's not available, because you're like,
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah. It's like, well, there's somebody that needs it that's 2 steps behind, and they need the unready version.
Yeah, that's so real. Because I remember when you told me about Untamed, because I had been looking. I was like, there's no way nobody else been through what I'm going through. Like, I'm married.
This is that book, by the way.
Yes.
Not everybody knows about this.
Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
I haven't read the book.
That was the wildest part.
This is one of those things like, here's some information.
You're like,
need.
somebody said that this is really good, and I think you should read it. And it's literally changed my life. It did. I still listen to it. I still go back and listen to certain chapters because it's just it's such a grounding narrative for me, because I was in a place where I realized that, like, oh, my sexuality is different from what I thought it was. And now we're on a tangent, but it's
That's okay.
It's different from what I thought it was. Because people like to ask me, like, did you always secretly know you were gay? Like, that's the question I get, which I appreciate. It feels curious and not accusatory. And I'm like, no, girl, it never.
I led with the accusatory because I had the background.
You
like,
knew.
Yeah, like,
even then, that didn't feel accusatory.
Yeah.
It was, I know you. Yeah. When people ask me that, I'm always like, no, I didn't know. And so when I started to know, I was like, whoa, I've already made some decisions. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be clear, just to clear up being Demi. It's not about gender, right? So even if I had gotten, separated and then divorced, I dated men after my divorce.
I don't blame you for switching.
I get it. I don't blame you either. My dad and my son saved the male species for me. So I have an amazing father.
You do.
And I have a great son.
You do.
And so I can't throw him away.
No, yeah.
They saved the whole.
And like when I see those moments, I'm like, I already know,
Yeah.
There's good ones.
Yeah, I got bags of uncles. Like, I have a million uncles.
Yeah.
And they're great.
Yeah.
And so I can't throw them all away.
Yeah.
But
not everybody's built that way.
But I also dated really great men after my divorce. They just weren't for me. They weren't for me. Like, to the point where I would be like, why can't I make you be the one? You are great. You fine. You got a good job. You're kind. You're planning good dates. Thoughtful. It just wasn't it. And that's okay. So anyway, tangent. Untamed. When I read it, I had been looking for something. I had literally been like Googling, like, married and like have like,
feelings
for women or confused about sexual, like nothing that was
only twin flame stuff popped up then.
So much. Oh my God. And I still think that was on track too.
It was.
I think there was still some like resonance of that in my journey, and I needed to see some of that stuff as well. But it wasn't. There was nothing that I read until Untamed that was like, that's for you. And I listen to their podcast to this day. And so even still,
oh, wow,
some of the stuff that they're going through now, I'm like 2 steps behind them. That's why you said that. I was like, oh, shit, like that's real. But I'm also sitting on a manuscript, like you said, the writing piece. Because I'm like, I don't know if this is ready. Because I know it's not done because I'm not done. But like, when I'm going to write it? When I die?
Right.
No.
Put a timeline on it.
I should. I have.
Yep.
I'm going to put another one.
Thank you.
But
because I was even listening to something last night and I was like, you know what? This seems like I'm supposed to need, or I needed to hear it before today. And I did, because it was very much like acting on, the gifts that you have, sharing the wisdom, sharing the knowledge, sharing what you are here to do, what you're here to be. Because what if somebody out there is praying for what you have to share and you're like, not today.
Yeah.
And they're like,
please.
And you're like, it's not ready today. Like there's somebody waiting to hear what exactly you need to say.
Yeah.
Like, and it could be a simple line. Like just now I said the thing, you were like, yes, click.
That's so
like,
good.
Yeah. And it was one of those casual conversation. It's not anything that it's like I scripted up to, it was like and that's usually what it is. You just needed that one little puzzle piece
for sure
to get to the next video game level.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to get some of it out. Yeah, I am. I'm going to get there.
Strategize.
A little space.
And I wanted to share, because this is a thing with, I've recognized, because I've experienced it myself. So I'm going to call you out a little bit here.
Yeah.
You'll be okay with it though. People want to support you. People want to come to your things. People want to read what you have to say, hear what you have to say. And I'm speaking from like the element of, being a healer or being somebody that's sensitive in that space, somebody that's like touching on pain points that are like very heart-centered,
Yes.
that stuff. I feel like there's a lot of people in this space, especially those who are in the healing community. We weren't taught marketing, right? We were not taught marketing. And then it comes time to share the things and it's like, ooh, it's scary, but it's also foreign, but it's also like, what does this look like? And it's like, just start, because you're not going to get comfortable enough until you keep practicing it.
Right.
And then, because like, I know I've said to you, like, what, you had this event? Why didn't I see this event? And I've done it a million times too. And I see it all the time too. And it's like, I had a guest on here. She said she posted about this membership offering she had. I think it was 67 times. Right. And I'm not saying you have to do it 67 times, but you have to do it a lot because people don't see it. People are busy. Look how many times I asked everybody to send me a video just saying ho. That's it.
Yeah.
It's fun. People like, I'm going to send you a ho. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like people were still like, what do you need me to say again? What? And I'm like, y'all, I just need a video saying ho. That's it. Here's your time. Here's your deadline.
I did go back and read the instructions, and I was like, "Girl, she said say ho."
Right. It's one of those like people want to participate. People want to show up, but they need follow ups. They need reminders. They need nudges, and it's not our fault, because we need it too.
Yeah.
So it's like proof, like, oh yeah, I do good with the nudge, or
sure.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, listen, I can't wait to get to the aerial silks and sound bowls. And I have a, what do you call it, a tis optimist. One of those people who are like optimistic about time.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I always think like this is like a month away, because when I look at it, it's a month away. And then it's tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
I can't do it Thursday
It's
because I didn't do it when I saw it.
Yeah.
But the next one I see, I'm going to do it. And y'all should do it too.
Thank you.
Plug. But yeah, I think there is something about, I think it's a little bit of PTSD from fundraising. I posted so much.
But this is for you now.
It is.
But it's also, it's for other people that are more aligned with you now.
I just am tired of asking people for things.
Yeah.
But
You're not asking anymore. See?
Right. To the point where I don't even call what I sell at Petals, I call it offerings. I do not call it like them products or like I'm selling. I have to say I'm making offerings, because if I don't, I like give myself a little ick.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to sell herbs, and I don't want to sell healing. I want to offer it, and you can make, a contribution at this price. But I ain't selling it. I'm offering.
Well, and I even see it a different way, because are you familiar with Gary Vee? Okay.
Ish.
Probably. Yeah, ish.
The name.
He said something the other day, and I was like, yes. He was like, if you feel like you have to sell what you are doing, then you're approaching marketing wrong, because if you have built your brand enough, you don't have to sell anything. People are paying you. Like, and I was like, yeah, that's, so that's how I see it now. It's like I want people to just be like, I need that. All I need to do is talk about it. And people are like, I need that.
Right.
Whether I label it as an offering or buy this
product,
service, whatever. I need that. And that's what it is.
Yeah. Because they do need it.
And you recently, this wasn't a sold service, but it's an offering that you have stepped into recently. You went and spoke to some students.
Oh, yeah.
At Claflin.
That was great.
And you didn't see that on your radar either.
I didn't. I actually tweeted twice about how I would probably never be able to do it because I didn't have a master's degree. And I don't want one. I might get one now. Yeah, but only because I really enjoyed being on the campus. And I was like, oh, I don't hate this. In the way I did when I was a kid. I didn't really like going to school.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But like we weren't learning what we needed to learn.
I did, though.
I didn't.
That's what I have to give CFC. I know. I tell everybody, like I really use my degree. Like,
see, and you're like one of the maybe 5 people in my life that I know that are like, yeah, I actually did study this.
Oh my God. Like, sociology helps you do everything. It is literally the study of society. Guess where we have to live? In society. And I think that's why so often when we get in these situations where like people are having a conflict, I really can see all the sides. And I just have a way of like my lens. I just sometimes see past like the conversation and I'm like, this person is from here. But that's a lot of times what happens with me and you, right? Like when we're having these clarifying conversations, I'm like, well, here's what I don't think you're considering, right? And it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And it's like, I don't know how not to.
And I look at it the way you studied sociology. I studied astrology stuff. So I'm like, that's just not how they communicate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's who
Same
that
thing.
person is. And I'm like, well, where are they from? I'm
Yeah.
like, well, where are they from?
Yep.
Like, where are they from?
Yep.
People from this place or from this, like, because I know where I'm from. And I know a lot of how I show up is because of where I'm from and the family that I'm from. Both sides.
Right.
And so all of that is, it's culture and society and all those things. But how we get there? How we start talking about College of Charleston?
Because you were going to talk about talking at Claflin.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to say, I always say, what's their Mercury? Like, I want to know how they communicate.
Yeah.
Because that's probably why there's a, what's their Mercury?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking at Claflin really was born from my work as a lobbyist. I was in a meeting with this professor, Dr. Allison Geis Johnson. She's brilliant. And I don't know if she knows this, but she's my mentor now. And so, hey, girl. So we were just talking about the work. And she wanted to know about my background. And so, obviously, I talked about working at Florence Crittenton and, coming in and being a probation officer, founding Seeds. And somewhere in that 10 years of being the ED of Seeds, like activism came into the space. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but I was very, very resistant to that title. I did not like it. It felt like something people were giving me that I didn't ask for. I was like, well, it feels like people expect me to come in and be, again, combative and fighting. And so then I was on panels with people and they just wanted me to argue. Not the point. So I explained those things to her because she's also just really like warm and grounded and down. So we were just talking. She was like, I want you to come teach my students. Just like that. And I was like, teach them what? And she was like, social justice. And looked at me kind of like, what else?
Right.
That's what you
The thing that you've been doing for all these years
the
now.
thing I tweeted about wanting to do twice in the past year. Yeah, and so I spent a week teaching social justice to the Freeland Scholars. And they are a dynamic group. If you've ever watched any civil rights movement movie,
Yep.
every character was represented. When I tell you, I was like, this
I've
is a
seen
script.
TV. Yep.
How did y'all get in here so perfectly placed? Like you had, it felt a little, synchronicities get me every time. But it did feel a little like,
Surreal.
is somebody,
Yeah.
like casting
my
life?
Yeah, they are, because that's
For
how,
sure. It's a movie, Truman Show.
Yep.
But it was so on the nose. They are brilliant, and they were prepared, for that week. And so I really just came in and offered strategies. People don't really often think about activism as strategic. They see it as something that people are like being reactionary. Sometimes it is like that. But there's a framework that I follow in any action that I take, and it requires responsibility and discretion. And so I was able to really help them practice that. I thought I was going to be teaching theory, and I'm not going to get into the details because they have been very discreet about the work they did last week. But we were met literally after lunch on the first day with an opportunity to practice advocacy, activism, and organizing in the moment.
Right. That script that happened.
If somebody, I was telling Jess about what happened, and she was like, are there cameras present?
Right.
This is a documentary.
Yep.
Like, it could have been. And they were phenomenal. They learned a lot, and they grew a lot. But, I really was just, like, guiding. Because social justice work is hard work. And that's why I think people don't get, like, that work is not for everybody. There's room for everybody in it, but everybody's not supposed to be leading that work. And those,
not everybody has the fight in them to do it.
Yeah. You got to be really like, that's the thing, right? Because there have been times where I could have been more discreet and a little more discretionary in my approach to the work. And I only know that now because I didn't get what I wanted. So I can look back and say, I may have gotten what I wanted in that case. I was right. I never lied. I was never lying. I wasn't wrong. But my approach to telling the truth,
Just got to navigate it a little differently next time.
strategy.
Yep.
You know? But
And that's
somebody had to
all
teach
a lot
me
of this
that.
is. Yep.
I mean, somebody had to teach me that, though.
Yep.
And I gleaned that, and I'm excited to share it. And it's fun. It to me, being in community with people who are like-minded, who want to see, you know, progress for those who don't have what they need, it can be really, really fulfilling. It can be exhausting because it's like you are kind of always fighting. Always.
But that's why you got to have that support around
Yeah.
you, because like, so you can take a break so somebody else can fight, and then y'all can switch up.
And we did all that too. We
Yep.
had meditation
Yep.
daily.
Yep.
You know, come in here, sit down and eat. Have you been to the bathroom? Where's your water?
Yep.
You know, I know y'all want to be freedom fighters, and you are.
Make
But
sure you
also,
hydrate first.
Self-preservation and self-care.
Yeah.
And I wasn't taught that initially, you know, and I got really sick. You remember that? I had shingles and like, yeah. And so people don't talk about that part of the work. Like,
Well, I've talked about, because I feel like, you know, when you think about everybody's roles here, and I have a book, what is it, Letters to a Starseed, and they talk about how everybody has, you know, there's like the alchemist, there's the this person that's sharing this, there's this person that's here to do this. Just like, you know, when you see certain soldiers, you're like, yeah, like that person was supposed to be a soldier. You already know.
Yeah.
So there's certain people that are here to be fighters, soldiers, but then I also think that there's people that are here to be the nurturers. Like, okay, now that you've fought, like, what are we going to do for your self-care?
sure.
Or like, let me teach you some, you know, so I feel like that's
essential injustice work.
yeah.
When we did that action, I don't know if you remember the gas station, the liquor
Yep.
store. I was walking around with a sage bundle
Yep.
most of the day. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like, just protecting the perimeter. And there's a clip of like us talking to the news. And I'm literally like,
Got the sage in the back.
well, no, I'm on camera. I think maybe I spoke, but they didn't air my comment. So I'm just standing there beside the other person who's speaking. I am constantly like, my eyes are just darting everywhere because that was, in my mind, that was my job. I need to make sure that the people that are here are safe and grounded and centered and not about to pop off or start a physical altercation with these people. And it would be valid because they have harmed someone physically. So that's fine. But that's not going to get us any closer to our goal. It's only going to give us more obstacles. We don't have no bail fund. You go in here and beat this man up. How are we going to get you out of jail?
Right.
You know,
right.
like strategy.
I was about to say, now you've messed up the strategy. Yeah.
Strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we talk about all of that, and that is what people don't realize. Like, if you see those types of actions happening, you think people are just getting together in a parking lot. But there was so much strategy behind the scenes. And I am either I'm the spokesperson in those spaces or I'm the nurturer to make sure that everybody is safe and rested and well. But in the beginning, no. No. Maybe that's like my elder work. Like,
Yeah.
and in some ways, like, you know, we're getting a little older.
But I think about that, like, am I going to be fighting then? Okay, cool. I don't want to sign up for that one.
No.
I got 3 Sag placements.
Yeah. I think you're the nurturer as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so for me, it's like, oh, I can send folks to
be nurtured.
be nurtured. Yep. Like that's the caregiving, right?
Yes.
That's a piece of it. Because, you know, my thing, Black people, right? Black people get to be well.
Yeah.
Even as they do movement work.
Yes.
And that is not a narrative that has been centered. And I really do my best to, like, push that because when people say, oh, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams, I know a lot of times people talk about, like, generational wealth and, like, you know, that's cool. That was mockish. I'm a chill. But that's not what I mean. When I think about my ancestors, I think about how tired they were and how hard they worked. And so I think it's their dream for me to rest and not fight and not be in the middle of something all the time. They already did that.
Right.
I don't have to fight dogs and hoses and cops.
Right.
Right? I think I do have a little bit of a more controversial approach to it because I do think if we look at society, I think that's when you call in your allies and your accomplices. Because they haven't experienced that kind of harm because people see their bodies as valuable. And so I think that's when white folks should stand between because cops aren't killing white people.
Right.
And so I don't have to stand toe to toe with a cop. For what?
Right.
He might kill me.
Right.
You go. He's not gonna kill you.
Right.
Now that is controversial.
A little bit.
But the truth is, we have a lot of evidence that shows
This is also true.
when white folks are present at protests and things like that, they are much less likely to become violent. Right? That's movement work. It's looking at the numbers. What happens? How do we get to be safe and get to our goal?
Strategy.
We got a bail fund, girl. We're gonna get you out.
Yep.
But they can't get me out the ground. If they do something to me, they're not gonna do nothing to you.
Right.
It is controversial, but it is.
But that's, I mean, the work. We can label the work.
Yes.
The work is controversial.
Extremely. Hello, we're talking about people. Their livelihood, their wellness, their being.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's why I also don't really love the word allies. I like accomplices. What you willing to put on the line?
Right.
I'm putting a lot on the line.
Right.
What about you?
What you bringing to the table here?
Look, that's the only bring to the table conversation I want to have.
Same.
Is this work?
Yeah.
But I also have incorporated my herb work into my social justice work. And so you got a question?
Yeah, because I was going to say you even went to Roots recently, and you said that you were able to use all of your practices that you've studied in like self-preservation.
For sure. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a little crowd anxiety, and so I was able to really just go inward in ways that I don't think before I had done like any sort of healing work for myself, therapy or even just all the digging that we've done since I would say 2018. I didn't know myself well enough to take care of myself in that kind of setting. And even, I know I talk about that 2 or 3 year stretch being really dark. I learned a lot about how to take care of myself. Like, what does it mean for me to center and get back to me when things around me that I can't control are triggering me or I feel unsafe.
And I think that's why it gets dark, though.
Yes.
So that you can actually sit still enough to.
You got to find your way back to the light.
Yep.
You have to. I didn't have a choice. And I'm a mom, And so for myself, I didn't. Is it Lauryn Hill? Such a dope.
I don't know who.
So
it's just
fire.
a picture.
It's so good. Sorry. Y'all got to come here and see the studio. It's really, really cool in here. But
it's a record afro.
It's a record afro. It's not Lauryn Hill, but it's really.
It's a
really
black
cool.
woman.
It's a black woman. She's fire. But I learned a lot about myself in that time, and I used some of those tools where I was able to just be where I was, and not look off into the crowd of. I think there's something like 40,000 people out there.
Ooh.
And there were times where you literally couldn't walk because, like, the blankets were so close together. Like, people had overlapped their blankets. So
it's too much.
Like, acres of land where, like, there's nowhere for me to walk. I'm stuck. Nah, I'm going to just be here. I'm just going to be in my body and not out there. And I had the time of my life. I also leaned on community. I had people there who loved and cared about me and who know that I have crowd anxiety. I let them take care of me. I was like...
You were open to receive.
I was open. I was like, I do not have to pee. Can you please bring me something to eat? I will be here when you get back. I will not move. Yep.
And it's that, like, finally learning to embrace speaking that and actually allowing people to do it.
That was a stretch.
It's a big thing for a lot of people because they're like, I don't mean to bother you, but shut up. What do you need?
What do you need?
What
Say
do you
what
need?
you need.
Yep.
Because also, if somebody tells me what they need, I'm gonna go above and beyond. And so that has been that's a part of relationship in this era of my life that both of us are not great at. Like letting the other person take care. We are both caregivers. And so we're constantly like, well, I don't want to burden you. I'm here to take care of you. It's like, well, girl, move.
Right.
Like, let me take care of you.
Right.
You take care of me, and then we both be taken care of.
Right.
But that is a bit of a tug of war that we find ourselves in. Sometimes. Yeah.
You got to, like, schedule them then, I guess.
Sometimes.
Today's your care day. Tomorrow's mine.
That's smart. That's smart.
It won't work because y'all are both fire. It sounds good.
It's those moments where it's like, if I offer to do something for you, instead of overthinking like how it might put me out, just let me do it. And vice versa. I think she was like trying to take the laundry out as I went outside, and I was like, well, I'll take it. And she was like, well, you gotta go. And I was like, well, I could take it because this makes it like, if she said she was taking the laundry out, I should just let her take it out.
Yep. You just got to move and then just, yeah.
So
those are leader things, though.
Yes.
Those
and
are
we
like,
both.
yeah.
We are
Like,
both
allow me to
leaders.
lead from time to time.
Sometimes,
So,
yeah. So, but I did bring my herbal practice into Claflin. I want to share that because it was important. We had a like a ceremonial closing circle where I took them to the river, and much like the moon circle, and they wrote their own affirmative prayers and made their own teas and baths to sort of. I encouraged them to think about more of a releasing tea or bath because we had such a heavy week. It was just, I know it was taxing for them. They were tired. They were like visibly, I could see that they were tired. So just encouraging them to take care in that way. And there were some super churchy kids, and they're not kids, they're adults, students, scholars in the space. But I watched as they kind of were able to see how to make this their own. And I think that's why it resonates with me so much more to only do this in workshops or circles, or to offer them like in vending spaces, and not so much like you could just go online and click the store. There might be some one-off sales like that. I don't really
no, but the community, like the in-person stuff, it hits different.
It does.
The same. Like they weren't necessarily, there's some people that are like, but when they see you and interact with you, it's a whole different dynamic.
Because I'm really encouraging them to make this process their own. The way I do spiritual baths, most of it I made up, right? Like
you got to find your own thing.
I mean, I talk about in the episode I did, the first episode I did with you, how at first I was watching like the hood healer do it, and so much of what she did was not resonant for me. Not wrong, just not for me. And I watched them ask me certain questions. Like I was like, well, here's how I do this. Here's how I do that. But I really want you to trust yourself, you know, and to do what makes sense to you. Here's why this makes sense to me. If that's resonant for you, take it. If not, do not, you know. I have a couple of things that are a rule. Like I don't encourage people to throw their herbs into like a closed, like don't put your stuff in a river or in a pond or a lake. Only like rivers or oceans. Like something
moving
that
water.
flows.
Yep.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Go somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that to me is like, that's a bit of a rule.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Don't put it in a pond because it's like stagnant. Other than that, do you. Do what feels right to you.
So this may have shifted since the last time we spoke, but maybe it hasn't. What would you say your medicine is now?
My medicine that I take for me. Stillness.
Yeah, that has changed for sure.
What did I say?
I don't remember.
I just listened. I really think it's stillness. I can feel when I'm, and also I can see like when I'm doing too much. Like last week was so great. It was so like fulfilling. And then Saturday, you know, I was vending because you came to see me. When I got shingles from overworking myself, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2017. They first started on my arm, and I can now feel when I'm getting a little too, like I'm pushing myself a little bit much, I can feel where they were. They're not there.
Right.
But I can feel it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to chill. Sunday morning, I felt it. And I was like, too much.
Yep.
Too much. I need to be still.
But at least you're aware of that now.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of people just push past it because they're not aware of those little, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
No.
Yeah.
And I get excited about things. Like if I'm doing something that I love.
Sign me up. Yeah. But also.
No.
Yep.
That's why it happened in 2017. I was in the middle of camp. I literally went to the doctor, was like, I don't know what this is, but I was so happy. I was having the time of my life. And she was like, girl, you are barely 30 and you have shingles. Yep. You're stressed. So I think stillness is the thing. Even if it's good, I still get to rest and take care of myself and spend time with, you know, my family and my partner and by myself. Because if I get excited about something, I can go. And go some more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Manifesting generator things, by the way.
It is.
So, yep.
It
Just
is.
so, yep,
it's so, it's like.
You don't know how to turn
there's like
it
a
off.
synergy, and it's like I'm on fire. I need to keep going, and then crash.
Yep.
Crash and burn.
But I will make sure to have in the show notes when you've got your next things happening.
Thank you.
So people can check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna bring back the moon circles.
Yeah, here for it. And I'll make one.
I'm gonna advertise.
Thank you.
So that you can.
I'd love to see it. I can't
you
wait.
can.
Yay. And I'll share it too.
Yes.
Yay.
Thanks.
Thank you
Love
again
that.
for being here.
Of course.
And I do
of course.
appreciate our friendship. It's been a blessing to have you in my life on this path together.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I feel like we made it back to each other's lives at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally on the edge of waking up.
Mm-hmm. It's all right.
and you know all the things about all the things.
You know all the things too.
I do.
So it's a good balance.
It is good. It is good. You like to deep dive though, and so I don't have to go so deep. I can say, Gianna,
What's this mean?
what's this mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll send you a link.
Yep.
And I'm grateful as well. It's been good. It's been a long time. 2005.
Yeah.
It's 2024.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, let me wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, remember to meditate and hydrate. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Who You Callin' Holistic. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. You can find me and all my services on Sheanah.com. That's SHEANAH.